Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Thanks for stopping by. This is my instant reaction video to Miami's 31-28 loss to Florida State. Some of my reactions to this game individually, but also taking a look at the season now that Miami dropped to 5-5 on the year, 3-3 in the ACC with 2 games left. Starting with this game, though, I thought it was good, obviously, that Miami battled back, but I don't think this was a very good Florida State team. I think this was a very disappointing loss for Miami, just that they got to the position that they were in, down 17-0 to start the game, down 20-7 at halftime. Very disappointing, even with going on the road. This was not a good Florida State team. Miami had a chance to finish the season strong after a very disappointing start to the year, and they did not do that, even if they win these next 2 games. I think at 5-5, there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. But taking a look at this game, so Miami goes up 28-20 in the fourth quarter. They get the early touchdown with Will Mallory, and then also the really good play by Jalen Knight in the 35-yard touchdown. Takes a catch over the middle, bounces off a defender, and goes into the end zone for a 35-yard score. I think at that point it probably felt like to you too, that Miami was going to go ahead and win the game. Up 28-20. Florida State, started strong, but were scuffling a bit after that. It felt like Miami's defense was getting into a good rhythm with disrupting what Florida State wanted to do, kind of understood what this game was about. I know going on the road, 70,000 in attendance. Miami has not seen a lot of that lately. So there was some adjustments that obviously went on. But again, Miami goes up 28-20, and it felt like that they had the game under control. I think many of you thought this at the same time too. Kind of just viewing some of the comments in our chat room on InsideTheU.com and just kind of gauging what you guys thought. That was my what a lot of people thought. So at that point, I think Miami, that giving up that touch or that field goal with 5 minutes to go, it felt like, okay, Florida State's back in it for sure. And it was always going to come down to a touchdown on these last drives. Was Miami going to be able to move the ball? Going up 28-23, it felt like you understood if they weren't going to be able to control the ball because they were not running the ball well all game. You really needed that running game to come through. I think some of you would have liked to have seen Thad Franklin in the running game or even Cody Brown just to see if they could get another running back going, because Jalen Knighton, although he did have that nice catch for a touchdown, only finished with 32 yards on 16 carries. Tyler Van Dyke wasn't able to get much going either in the running game. So when it came down to the running game late in the game, you felt like Miami was going to have a hard time holding on to the ball, and they did. So they had to get rid of the ball. Florida State makes the decision to kick a field goal, which I thought was a good decision at the time because it brings them within 5, because there was no guarantee that they could score a touchdown and get the 2-point conversion. So they get the field goal, and then Miami was only able to hold the ball for a couple minutes. Very disappointed that they couldn't pin the ball deep like they did earlier early in the game when they were able to pin it at the 1. I thought that was very disappointing. If they could have pinned them inside the 5, that would have been big on that possession. But they weren't able to do that. But arguably the play of the game, and we will get to that 4th and 14 play later, but giving up a 60-yard pass play on the first play of that drive, really I thought was the biggest play of the game at that point, because 60 yards that made up for a lot of yards that Florida State was just having a tough time getting at that point in the game. Cameron Kitchens in coverage, Shakai Douglas with that nice catch, and then Jordan Travis with a good throw. So that put things in motion for Florida State. Miami's defense was rattled for sure at that point, but they were able to contain themselves, get back under control. 4th and 14 from the 25. Miami was in a very good position. Jordan Travis, again, had to make a good throw. He's not known for being a good passer, but he was good in this one. 18 for 26, 274 yards. He completes a pass over the middle, 24 yards. I thought that was a very good play by Andrew Parchment, but a very poor play by Miami's defense. There was no doubt about it. I do not know what those guys were doing. It was very disappointing with the game on the line that they could not come up with a stop. There has to be a sense of urgency when the game is on the line, in big games especially, to come up with a big play. Somebody has to take control, get their hands on the ball, make sure that the play does not happen. Unfortunately for Miami, it did. And at that point, I know there was some debate. Maybe you guys can drop in the comments below. Definitely curious to hear your thoughts Should Miami have went ahead and allowed Florida State to score a touchdown on the 1 yard line? Essentially, they would have had more time with their timeouts. They would have had about a minute left. It's still in contention to win the game or certainly tie the game, even if Florida State scored a touchdown. Or does Miami go ahead and try to stand up as a defense, which is what they tried to do, not allow Florida State to get the yard? They eventually did, with 26 seconds left, and they go ahead, get the 2-point conversion. I'm very curious about the debate on that. I was not surprised to see Manny Diaz go ahead and try to stand them up because he's a defensive coach. That's kind of what he believes in. It's hard for a defensive coach, particularly like a guy like Manny Diaz, who's not very experienced in having a lot of big game success, for him to take that initiative to go ahead and allow a touchdown there and then play the odds later. So I wasn't surprised. Corey Flagg was asked about it. He said, we're not going to allow a touchdown there or give up a touchdown essentially on purpose, but they eventually did. So a lot to be made there. Certainly a lot of plays had to be made after the fact on offense. But, the way that it played out, Miami had the ball with 26 seconds left, 3 straight incompletions. We're not able to get anything going there. I think it was putting a lot of pressure on the offense at that point. Even with the timeouts, Tyler would have had to been very sharp. They would have needed a big play like Florida State got, and they just weren't able to do that. They get that catch over the middle by Rambo. The clock actually did kind of stop. They allowed Miami to run another play. It was a spike. If you're not curious with the rule, quarterbacks can't spike the ball under 3 seconds. There was under 3 seconds. Tyler Van Dyke said after the game, it was just something that he'll learn from. So Miami drops to 5-5 on the year. Very disappointing. 3-3 in the ACC. Still alive to win the Coastal, but I doubt that's on anybody's mind because a lot has to go right in the final 2 weeks. And frankly, Miami has not been the best team in the Coastal Division. It would not deserve to go at this point. So I'm sure there won't be that much talk about it, but they are still mathematically alive. So kind of just looking at this, and the reason why I've taken so much, you guys have heard my post-game reactions of these last few games, taking them individually. Yes, it's a win. I think you always look at one game sample size or one game evaluation with keeping in mind what is going on in the season. So yes, they would win a game. However, season's not good enough. This game, very disappointing to lose to a Florida State team that's really been struggling all year long, and combine that with Miami's year at 5-5, just adds to the disappointment. Five losses is certainly unacceptable. I do believe that Miami's going to have a very tough decision to make on Manny Diaz in the future of the program moving forward. I thought they were always going to have that tough decision the way that 2-4 start happened. And we will just see how it goes. Miami and Manny Diaz is going to talk a lot about the youth. They're going to talk a lot about close games, playing hard. Does any of that matter? I think it all comes down to results. The results have not been there for 3 years. They're not going in the right direction with their win and loss total, and that's what it comes down to. And it's hard to imagine, even with the youth that they are playing with, that they're going to be an ACC title contender in the near future because there will be turnover. They've lost games they shouldn't be losing. And there's just, to me, there hasn't been enough positive signs. Yes, they've won some games, but they've lost a lot too. So that's kind of my initial reaction on the season at 5-5, 3-3 in the ACC. I understand that they're playing close games. You're not expected to get blown out. I think that this is a big case of lowering the bar to a certain point. And then, I think that even happens in this game. You go down 17-0. Yes, it's good you took the lead, but you were ultimately unable to come away with the result. And that's what it comes down to. Talk so much about results. Yes, there were some positives. They did get the passing game going. Tyler Van Dyke was able to shake off a shaky start, but ultimately it just wasn't good enough for the team. Defense has given up 30 points or more in every ACC game. That's disappointing. It cannot happen specifically for a defensive coach. They've got to be better. We'll see how these next 2 games go against Virginia Tech and Duke. Miami still will be favored. They'll be expected to win both of those games to finish 7-5 in the regular season. And then we'll see how things go in the bowl game. But certainly a lot of question marks about the program moving forward, and very disappointed. It's hard to win every game against your rival. It's hard to win every ACC game, You can't dig yourself a hole. You can't dig yourself a hole from what Manny Diaz in the first year of his tenure at Miami. And you can't dig yourself a hole in the first quarter like they did against Florida State in this one game. And I think that kind of sums up a lot of what's going on with the Hurricanes football program is they're just digging themselves holes. They're coming out of it. They're putting themselves at a very big disadvantage. And ultimately they're coming up short with the result. So we'll see how things go. That's just my instant reaction. Like I said, definitely drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know. I'm very, very curious what you think about Tyler Van Dyke's performance. Also, the offensive line needed to be better. They gave up a lot of pressures to a good Florida State defensive line, or at least a better defensive line than they've seen in the ACC this year. And then the running game just couldn't get it going. That definitely needs to change. They got to figure out a way to get both going moving forward. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, drop in the comments. Please do that, and take care.